Modern aircraft in Ace Combat are cool and all, but I know inside of you there's a Star Wars fan that just wants to take off and... Unfortunately, that is possible in Ace Combat 7 due to the addition of the pulse lasers in aircraft such as the F-15C, the MiG-31 and the Sukhoi 57. In this video, let's take a look on the tactics and how to optimize the usage of the pulse lasers while taking the most out of a joystick, the Thrustmaster HOTAS 4 in its Ace Combat 7 edition. In this video, I'll be using a fully upgraded F-15C compliant with the 2250 points total cost restriction. As always, the first step in a match is to see the special weapons that your enemies are carrying. You want to watch out for EML and other pulse laser carriers. You should never go head to head against an EML carrier, and if someone brings a pulse laser, you roughly have a 50-50 chance of coming out alive from a head-on pass. In the beginning of the match, turn your plane to the enemy closest to you. Right or left, doesn't really matter unless there's a cloud between you and your enemy. With the PSLs, you need to avoid clouds at all costs. Get yourself lined up with the enemy and start firing as soon as possible. Usually, at the start of the match, enemies will fly directly to you, and that should be an easy kill because you can fire on them before they're able to get a lock on if they're carrying missiles. In these head-on passes, only small adjustments will be necessary, so you have to be precise. Something you can easily achieve in the HOTAS 4 flight stick because the axis range is longer than a regular controller. After hopefully getting your first kill, check to see if another enemy is closing in fast and apply the same head-on tactic. If you didn't get a kill, you have two options. You can pursue the enemy in a turn fight or fly out and come back for another pass. If you choose to go in for a turn fight, this is when the parts that improve your pitch will come in really handy because you will need to lead your aim considerably. As I mentioned in my other tip video, the closer you are to your enemy, the better because you need to lead less your aim. For this turn fight, be sure to build up speed whenever the enemy is too far from your aim sights, and then use the speed you build up to perform high G turns. You will get a few seconds to fire and make sure they count. The only thing I can recommend is practice, practice and practice, because this is a manual aim weapon, so getting a kill depends entirely on you. Practice is the only way to build up your skills. Now let's say you don't want to perform turn fights. The other tactic you can employ is build up a lot of speed and separate yourself from the turn fight. After getting some distance, roughly 6 kilometers or so, turn back to the furball and fire lasers from long distance back into the mix. Sometimes there will be several targets clustered together, like 3 to 5 enemies in close proximity. Be sure to fire there first, since it's possible to get multiple enemies in a single attack run. I did this before and I was able to get 3 enemies almost at the same time. If you're coming back to the furball, also look for slow moving targets on your HUD. In these cases you don't need to lead your aim too much, so it should be an easy kill. When using this tactic, all you need are minor adjustments to your aim, like what you can get with the HOTAS 4 flight stick. Just be careful not to overcorrect. This sums up the tactics to be used with pulse lasers, but there are some things to be aware of. Clouds. Stay away from them at all costs because they dissipate your lasers. If an enemy remains inside the clouds consistently, go for another target. To counter the clouds as obstacles, fly away and to the side so you get a clear line of sight to the furball. Second, be aware of the map choice. Fort Grace Island has a few large cumulus clouds, while Anchorhead Bay has a relatively thin overcast layer that covers most of the map. I totally do not recommend bringing in lasers to Yanshi Valley at night because there are several thin clouds all around the map that you can barely see as it rains. What matters is your lasers won't get through. In terms of aircraft choice, the F-15C, the Sukhoi 57 and the MiG-31 are all good for the long range attacks because the 3 of them are fast enough to get some separation from the furball. Just don't use the MiG-31 as a turn fighter, this can go wrong on so many levels. Lastly, don't be afraid of being trigger happy because there's a considerable delay between the firing and the hits in long range attacks. In almost all my matches I still have a bit of ammo at the end, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And of course, since lasers are a manual aim weapon, the best way to improve is to practice, practice and practice, so you can learn how much of an aim lead is enough and make minor corrections to your aim. And of course, if you want to be more precise, you can use a joystick like the HOTAS 4 from Thrustmaster to make the minor adjustments in your flight path that you can't get with a regular controller. If you're interested in that, be sure to check the affiliate links in the description. It's a great way to support the channel. And by the way, be sure to check my playlist in the description for more tips on how to improve on Ace Combat 7's multiplayer. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.